Hello, it's Phillip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers in London, and this morning I'm looking at a brand new book from the Legal Action Group. The Legal Action Group are a particularly important organisation to all of us as practitioners. I think without them we would have a much more difficult role to fulfil. They do help litigants in person and the general public in a way that we've not had before, and I'm very grateful for every single book that they have published. I see them in court, and both I, as a member of council, solicitors, paralegals, and of course advisors and the judiciary do rely on what we get. So thank you to that charity, the Access to Justice charity, for your sterling work. It is appreciated. Now this book is on a very important area which has changed rather recently. It's the Legal Aid Handbook 2015 to 16. And it's not thinner than you thought it was. We'll have a look at it in a minute. But things have changed. It's been edited as usual by the excellent Vicky, Ling and the excellent Simon Pugh, with Anthony Edwards assisting, and there's been a lot of additional help with this particular volume. It's now available as an ebook as well. And Elizabeth and I talked about the book because we've reviewed these books before, been to the presentations, and they're always a high quality, extremely useful publication. We've given the title, as I say, a practical and up-to-date explanation of the legal aid regime, a must-have for legal aid practitioners. Our review will be on the web and in the journals as well, and we do advise anybody who's still involved with legal aid matters to certainly know of the existence of this book and get hold of a copy. It's not expensive, which is one of the beauties of the Legal Action Group publications. They are well within anyone's means in terms of cost, unlike some of the practitioner books which are really expensive. But these books are very helpful, and I certainly think in this day and age where the litigant in person is appearing so frequently that they should also be well aware of this sort of publication. Let's have a look at the book first of all anyway, because it's not a, as I say, it's not a particularly heavy book. It's a paperback, you can see there, and there's the spine of it there. This is the 2015 to 16 edition, and then there's some information on the back. There's a little bit of a shaded area, which you can probably just see there, which is the appendices at the back, and they just start there. There are a number of them, and I'll just start off with that. There you can see what's actually listed, which is the new applications checklist. So they're trying to make it as up to date as possible. There is, of course, a very useful index at the back, which is paragraph numbered, so you can find things, and you do have a lot of information. Civil costs, what you can claim for. Again, very useful information. Now, at the front of the book, there is actually an important statement there about the actual handbook itself, so you can get access to the website. I think we're going to move much more towards this in the future. There's the front page itself, where you're getting more interactive information coming up all the time, because that is actually where we are going, whether we like it or not. I personally like it. What I do like is there's a very nice dedication to Andrew Wilson, which I will let you read there, from the editors, which is a nice gesture, so thank you for that. Then there's a preface thanking all the people who've been heavily involved in this from LAG. That's Esther Pilger, Steve Hines and Nim Morphy. I thought I'd give you a nice little bit of publicity. There we go. Then there's some the list of contributors. I'll start that again. There we go there, just to say who's actually helped this time around. And there's a lot of information. Then we get into the content section itself. Part A, legal aid advice and litigation, the various parts, the content section, and so forth. Part B is legal aid advocacy, which is the bit that I, for instance, would be finding of great help. It does assist, a lot of common sense in it. Tables of cases, not that many. Then the You've then after that got the statutes, then the statutory instruments there. Then we get into the there's some European stuff that is creeping in on a regular basis now into many publications. The abbreviations section for litigants in person in particular, and people like me, because I can't remember a lot of these abbreviations, so it's very useful to have them there. Then there's a nice glossary, because again they use words which sometimes I have no idea what they're talking about, and it's very helpful to actually have some idea of what some of these words mean. There we go. I mean, we do take it for granted as barristers sometimes that we know all this stuff, but you do need to have it in front of you to check. Now, the beauty of the LAG books is the fact that you've got a nice little chapter index at the front of each chapter. Then you've got the paragraph numbering, of course, and you've got some footnoting, but it's nicely structured, and that means you can find things pretty quickly. It talks about the LAA manual, Legal Aid Agency. Again, been through lots of changes, but it's the Legal Aid Agency website. You've got to know your way around that, so some very useful stuff there. And I could go on, but there's a lot. Conducting a housing case, again, very important stuff. This is for people with no money, who've got a lot of problems. They want some justice, they want access to justice, and in this day and age it's going to be difficult sometimes to find it without knowing where to look. That's why I'm grateful to LAG, that's why we do these presentations on YouTube. It's so that you know what's available, so that you don't feel there's no one there who can help. The book can help as much as can be. You obviously may need to have professional assistance, but at least it's a start. And I come from an era where we didn't have anything at all, and it really was, frankly, pretty brutal. We do now have at least somewhere where we can get some of the information, instead of it all being a total misty, misunderstood area which nobody really understood, even in my view the judges. We've moved away from that, and there is accountability and transparency at last, at least some. So here we are. This is the handbook, and this is what we say. We've reviewed this excellent work from LAG in the past, and we're delighted to recommend this new edition for 2015 to 16 of the Legal Aid Handbook. We regard it as the most useful of all the publications on legal aid currently on the market. It's not expensive, and it's got everything you need in one place. That's what Vicky and Simon have aimed to do with the help from Anthony and the others, so thank you for that. The authors, as I say, are Vicky, Ling and Simon Pugh, and they're ably assisted by Anthony Edwards. And they say that in the past few years it's been very hard for legal aid practitioners, and the next few will be even harder. Absolutely. We're all in the same boat on that. We all know the problems. The judiciary do too. The only people who don't seem to know it are certain politicians in Westminster. But we've got to deal with that, and that's our job in life. And as the old days then of legal aid are now well and truly over, it's apparent as of now that any limited return to any form of legal assistance will have to probably be merit-based, bearing in mind that public funding is involved. Now, I say that on the basis of I've no idea what the policies are going to be in the future, although we got some general indications. But if we ever have a return, and I hope we have a return to sensible legal aid provisioning, if we do, let's have it on the basis of merits, so that those who really can't afford to have access to justice without having some help get it. That's the purpose. It was the original purpose all those decades ago, and I think that's something that we should always have at the back of our mind. It may sound very good to a Conservative Party conference that they're cutting all this waste and everything else. This isn't about waste. It's about making sure people can exercise rights when they get hideous problems with some other human beings, and that's really what this is about. The ramifications and the need to know information and comment are all included in this book, and I thank them for that, which is in line with the principles of LAG, which I also of course agree with, and it's written in a reassuringly plain English style aimed at a wide range of readers, including the potential recipients of legal aid themselves. And I do say that if you are if you've got to go to court and you've got to face this, whether you're forced into it or whether you decide to take action, this book is something you should invest in if you can get it. You should also be able to find it in libraries. I've found a lot of the LAG publications in libraries, and of course they are available to a limited extent in court if the judges are prepared to let you see it, because there are law libraries in courts, believe it or not, but they are extremely difficult to get to. So this year, Vicky, Ling and Simon Pugh are joined by new contributors, Solange Valdez and Richard Charlton, and they've written chapters on conducting immigration and criminal cases with Steve Hind, who's the LAG director, adding his insightful comments on the policy scene as usual, so thank you, Steve. Practitioners will certainly value the succinct chapter on getting paid for criminal work, as well as, of course, the chapter on getting paid for civil and family work. On this and a multitude of other matters, the handbook does save us a great deal of time trying to fathom out how the current schemes operate. And can I just say, your clerks will find that helpful too, because I've had to get involved in this as counsel, and I've not understood a word a lot of the LAA people have said to me, and I really do find they talk in a different language. So I think the book on the fees side will help you. The forms themselves, most of us have had the problem. You fill the form in, send it off, and then they return it to you after quite a long wait, saying that you've missed something, which you seems to be very, very trivial. So do be aware of that, and I think this helps you. And so in this regard, the read this before you start section under Part A, Legal Aid, Advice and Litigation, is, I think, particularly helpful by way of introduction, and it offers a few words of caution about the complexities of undertaking publicly funded work. The handbook is supported by the regularly updated by the website legalaidhandbook.com, which I've had to write out because obviously it doesn't pick up when you put it on the web. But you can also follow it on Twitter. As with all LAG publications, case studies, hints and checklists offer essential help for support staff and lawyers alike, and I'm very grateful to that. So let me conclude by saying that within the book's about 520 or so pages, that includes appendices and step-by-step guides throughout, the practitioner is given a clear outline of the framework of our current legal aid regime. All this, plus the extensive tables of cases, statutes and statutory instruments, as well as the table of European and international legislation, make this an invaluable and invaluably time-saving title. So for legal aid practitioners across the full range of disciplines, it's a must-have purchase. Thank you very much to all. Quick zip around the book again, just to remind you. Paperback, quite light, 500 odd pages, spine, and there's the back of it there. Just opening it in the middle. Contact with the legal aid agency. That's an interesting one. There's some phone numbers, lots of things. I did like the point on conducting a housing case, because I think that's an important area. You see the structure again. You've got a little introduction at the beginning, a list, chapter sort of list index, and then you go straight into the introduction and so on. You've also got getting paid for civil and family work, which I mentioned earlier. Again, important. I have had a lot of problems trying to fathom the forms, and I do think this is quite useful. A lot of this information is actually about immigration and asylum matters, but again, the disbursements, the various other requirements. So it is an important area for you if you're looking to do it, and I think your staff will find that very helpful too, the non-legally qualified people who are assisting you. But that's the beauty of this, because we as a profession now we have, of course, the fully trained people like myself as counsel and solicitors, but we do have a lot of support services. These books are very helpful for them too. So can I thank everybody concerned very much. We're very grateful to you. Keep up the good work, and thanks for this book. Bye-bye.